It is one last dance at Oracle. Will they be able to go out with a win and bring back the best two words in sports? Game 7. It is our coverage live of the NBA Finals. It is Game Time presented by YouTube TV. Kind enough to be with us, the Hall of Fame panel that I have here, which very lucky to have Zeke and G. Hill and Kevin McHale fresh off the beach somewhere in Hawaii to come back and join us. So you know it must be important. We'll have a lot on this set on, guys, the mindset of both teams in this kind of a spot. But let's get to the rest of our cast as we've got it covered on both sidelines, including coming up in just a moment, more on the Raptors trying to take it another road game with Jared Greenberg. But first, with more on the Warriors dealing with a lot both mentally and physically heading into this game, here's Kristen Ledlow. Hey, Kristen.
Hey, Casey. Unsurprisingly, yesterday the Warriors Media Day was primarily focused on the loss of Kevin Durant, and not just what his ruptured Achilles means to this series, even to their rotations, but to this team's brotherhood. Klay Thompson added to Instagram today, asking Dub Nation to reflect on the fact that the team would not be in this position without KD and his sacrifices. Klay went on to say he's the reason there are banners hanging from the rafters at Oracle. We all know this is a minor setback for a major comeback. Nothing can impede this man's greatness. And speaking of Oracle, let's lay it all out there tonight in honor of the 47 years in this beautiful building. In just minutes, I'll speak to Steve Kerr about moving forward to the team's final game at Oracle Arena. But for now, for more on the Raptors, our Jared Greenberg is standing by. Jared?
Well, Kristen, the message coming out of the Raptors locker room this evening is just stay solid. Toronto feels like they lost Game 5 because they made too many mistakes. Raptors still one win away from a championship, and to understand what that means to them, you have to understand how far they've come. And over the last 3 years, losing to the best player in the game, being eliminated each of the last 3 by LeBron James. But now the Raptors are the team that have the best player still standing in Kawhi Leonard. It's all part of a vow that Masai Ujiri made to his team, to his city, to his country 1 year ago.
You know, like, we'll get better. We will get better here. We'll believe in this city, this country, this team here, and move forward. You know, like I put it on myself, the most difficult time for me is watching the playoffs. You know, like I think people in our position, it's just difficult to watch it. You know, like, because you're helpless. You know what? Now I can smile. Now I can be nice to my wife. Now I can, you know, like it's now is the time, you know, like that I can work. You know, like our front office can work. We can be, I think we can be, we can do our jobs now. So I'm always nice to my wife, by the way.
And Masai Ujiri did right by the Raptors. He acquired Kawhi Leonard, despite how difficult that was in giving up DeMar DeRozan. And this team heads into tonight healthy and 48 minutes away, Casey, from an NBA championship.
All right, Jared, thank you very much. We'll have more from Jared and Kristen throughout the course of this show. Guys, let's start with momentum, because not only the Instagram post from Klay, but we already have seen shirts where KD was highlighted. Quinn Cook out here shooting in a Kevin Durant t-shirt. They're going to try and harness as much of that as they can. How much of that momentum can carry into at least the beginning of this game in the final run at Oracle?
I think a lot of that momentum can carry into the game. And, you know, Kevin Grant, I mean, you guys have played in some great buildings. You at Duke, okay, you in the Boston Garden, and you know how influential a crowd can be and how inspirational a crowd can be. And they can carry you throughout the whole game, particularly in those dead moments or those moments that you're lacking confidence. So I think the KD factor, the last home game here, playoffs, championships, I think all of that comes into play. And I do think the Warriors can use that to their advantage tonight.
And Zeke, I think they'll need that. You know, we were there at Game 5. Kevin's presence to start the game gave him a jolt of confidence, and they were able to ride that. But now the last few days, processing what happened, there's a sense of like just a heavy heart here, if you will. People are down at this and feel horrible about what happened with a Durant. And so I think this team will need that. They'll need that boost. They'll need that lift, because look, this Toronto team is really good, and maybe they weren't ready for the moment in Game 5 in Toronto, but they're very disciplined. They play well on the road. They won 2 games here. They're a confident team. You're going to have to beat them if you're Golden State. They're not going to roll over, and getting that support from this crowd, as you talked about, will be vitally important.
you know, what happens with support, it's all great to start the game, but you got to make some plays. If Golden State's missing shots and they're throwing the ball to the other team, I promise you, these guys will all be going like, what are we doing tomorrow? So that all is good to start off with, but you got to play basketball, man. And that's why honestly, when I played, I was never that worried. I figured I really wanted to make plays early in the game. Like we're playing you guys anytime in the old Silver Dome, which was a terrible place to play, by the way. That place sucked. But anyway,
just guide you to the sunlight.
You got sunburned when you shot the ball. But, you know, you really wanted to go out and make plays early in these big games. I always thought, man, let's get some paint points. Let's attack their double teams. Let's do all these things. So right now, these are players' games. Games 4, 5, 6, and 7. The coaches made all their adjustments. This is players' games. Now, Nick Nurse can show some stuff on the film and say, look at when they load to Kawhi, but then you got to go make a play because you're not exactly sure where they're going to load to him. So now these are players' games. So as a player, you got to take this game by the throat. And if you're Toronto, you got to say, man, look at, I'm coming out. I'm making plays to start this game. Yeah. And Golden State's, you know, if they're banking on their crowd scoring points, it don't score points. It gives you some energy, but you still got to play basketball. So banking on home court, winning the game for you, bad bank.
I think two things. One, I was joking last night. I said to Zeke, I said, maybe it's too late now to give him the information, but I'd be putting KD on a 30-second post for the arena, like forget on Instagram. And before you tip, I'd be doing anything to use that if I was Golden State. But I want to take the other side because I've got some basketball assassins in terms of killing all momentum here on this set in different ways and toughness and winning an opposing building. So I want to go the other way. Tell me what you're trying to do if you're the Raptors, knowing last game in the building, they feel they've got the momentum to cut into that right off the bat.
I know right now I am dealing with a wounded animal. I am dealing with a wounded team. They are down one of their top players. Their bench is weak, and I got to figure out a way. How do I take Clay or Steph out of the game? I'm not going to let both of them have big games. One of them can have a big game, but both of them is not going to have a big game. And then I'm worried about Cousins in the back of my mind. But I got to figure out a way how to take Clay or Steph out of the game. And don't let this wounded animal continue to live. Right now, you're trying to kill the Golden State Warriors tonight.
Yeah.
And Isiah, on a macro level, I think two things. One, I think obviously the presence of Kevin Durant in Game 5. I mean, it was just almost like, wow, he came out, hit his first shot. And just you could see the spirit of Golden State. It came back. And you could also see the body language of Toronto, like, you know, we're in trouble. And I think that carried out throughout the game. Still a very close game for Toronto. But as we were there the day leading up to it, it was almost like it was a foregone conclusion that they were going to win.
Yeah.
Around town, everyone was excited where the parade, the celebration. Even Drake told me where his after party was going to be. And so
where you going?
I mean, you know, hey, maybe. Maybe. But, you know, you wonder if it became too much, if it was too much of a distraction. So for Toronto to go on the road, to get away from that, and now to hunker down, to really rely on one another, obviously you're going to get the best shot from the world champions, but to do it here on this court, to have that sort of pride that not only did we win, we closed this arena down.
Yeah.
They're going to be focused and disciplined, and I think going to play better basketball than they did in Game 5.
Two things. Now, if you're Kawhi Leonard, who is the head of the tip of the spear here for Toronto, I'm not letting that bogus double team stop me. You're going to have to come all the way down and get on my body. And now, if I'm one of the others, I'm not allowing you to play 3 against us 4. So if I'm one of the others, I'm sprinting to the ball. I'm Siakam. I'm going downhill. I'm Kyle Lowry. I'm going downhill. Right. I'm any of these guys. I'm Grant Green. I'm shooting the thing. You got to come out there with that feeling like, hey man, if I'm the main guy, I'm making that double team come to my body, and then I'm allowing my teammates to be 4-on-3 behind it. And those guys have got to be aggressive. And you know, like if you're Steve Kerr, you got to be saying, man, Kawhi put on about a 4-minute, 5-minute stretch in that fourth quarter. That scares you. You're like, dang, that guy's capable of that. Let's not let him get going, which means you're going to play 4-on-3 behind that. And the guys that are behind that have got to play aggressively. They can't shy from the ball. They just got to be. But it all starts with Kawhi. Like I'll go back to, like, you guys double team this every every time we touched the ball back when I played.
Yeah.
I made you come down. I mean, I was going to split double teams. If you weren't down there.
And when we didn't double team, it was about 56,
Yeah,
60.
well, yeah, like that.
Rick Mahorn.
Yeah,
Rick Mahorn.
But I'm in my mind, I was making you, Zeke, come down to my body. So when I threw it out, they had more room to play. Kawhi's got to make them come to him and make them take the ball out. They can't do some half-ass. Halfway, you know what I'm saying, halfway double team. They got to come up and really get up onto him. So it starts with him.
Remember this, too. Go ahead, Zeke. Go ahead.
No, and when you talk about, making him double team, now if you're Golden State right now, slowly you've been kind of coming back to life. Because really, this was a series that you were dead in. I mean, you're down 3-1 and everything else. I mean, you looking for any type of momentum. Your best player's out. Then he comes back. Then he goes out again. Cousins. So Golden State has kind of been hovering around this series. They haven't been at full strength. And if they win tonight, now all of a sudden they really do have the momentum. So this first quarter, to me, is extremely important from a momentum standpoint, a confidence standpoint for Golden State in terms of their execution and also their play.
Withstanding the onslaught early will be huge. Remember this, though. Only 6 teams have ever won 3 road games in the NBA Finals. The Raptors would become the 7th to do it if they won tonight. The last 2 games in this building, there were thousands of Raptor fans singing "Oh Canada" as we did post-game, not Warrior fans. They had already left Oracle. Teams trying to come back down 3-1.
Wait, ho.
Yes.
We won 3 finals road games.
These are teams down 3-1.
My fault.
The segment of only stats that you were involved in is coming up next.
My bad. I wasn't reading that right. I was like, wait a minute.
You must have thought this is What If the NBA Finals show was only about you.
No, it was that Sherline champagne we was having last night. I'm still a little woozy from it.
I have no idea what you're talking about. I had chocolate milk in my glass. Meanwhile, speaking of which, a guy who seemingly is always on point, our guy Clay.
I expect us to obviously come out and play as hard as we can. We're not even thinking about the future. We're just thinking about enjoying this last show at Oracle. We're about to give our fans. Then I expect our fans to be the loudest they've ever been, especially in the name of Kevin and, bringing his type of spirit he would bring to the fight and the competitiveness. I know our fans will do that because we deserve it, but more importantly, Kevin does for what he gave this team, this organization. There wouldn't be banners if it wasn't for his presence, so we expect our crowd to be loud for him.
I don't think much needs to be said about the motivation that we have or are going to have tomorrow. Like Clay said, to protect our home court, feed off our crowd's energy, play for K, and try to keep our season alive. So, I mean, there's a lot of things that you can kind of tap into for energy tomorrow.
Yeah, we were talking a little bit about, double teaming Kawhi, but look what they do. They're coming up, they're pressing him right now. That ball's got to go to the weak side if you're Bogut. You can't come back to the strong side. Play 4-on-3 against it. Again, you're going to see him come up. Now Looney's got to separate and make a play, and now I'm not sure what he does. He just dribbles it off his shin. Yeah, that's a bad play. But, you've got to make plays. And right now, Boogie Cousins got to be watching the ball. Now you've got to make yourself available. He doesn't even see the ball. That's a big turnover at that point in the game. So when you put 2 on the ball, we talked about it with putting 2 on the ball, what Kawhi Leonard needs to do, but Golden State needs the same thing. You got to play on that weak side and play 3 against 2. And don't be afraid to make plays for your teammates. Drive hard and throw the ball if they pick you up. It's a simple game once you're playing odd man basketball. Yeah. It's just like a 3-on-2 break. We all love those.
Yeah, and the surprising thing that we've been watching in this series when Golden State has been double teamed, that is what they're usually excellent in playing out of. They normally put, somebody behind the basketball and Draymond and everybody's playing 4-on-3, and they've been excellent over the years in executing that. So in this series, we're a little surprised that they haven't been executing as well when Clay or Steph gets double teamed.
Question for you, Zeke. Is Green's not going downhill like I've seen him go downhill in the past. Can Iguodala still put the ball on the floor, get to the hole, and make plays to others? Is Livingston lost that step? How many guys do they have that can bust that paint off the dribble?
Well, and I know, when you go to the finals, 3 consecutive years in a row, I mean, fatigue sets in. Yeah. You get mentally exhausted. So things that you think that you're doing, when you go back on film and you watch, you realize, oh, I'm not moving as fast as I thought I was, and I'm not going downhill like I thought I was. So, it's a little bit of age that's creeping in right now. It's a little bit of lack of concentration and fatigue from playing so much.
Yeah. Even despite fatigue, age, all the extra concentration, especially with the KD situation, not a surprise the Warriors have kept mentally where they need to be to hang in this series. Big part of that, their coaching led by Steve Kerr, who is with our Kristen Ledlow.
Your team is looking ahead to extend this series, but we're also looking back at the memories made in this building ahead of the final game at Oracle Arena. What stands out most to you?
I think just coming in and seeing all the people who work here in the parking lot and in the hallways, and it's real now. After thinking about it all year, and it was kind of looming, now it's real. So this is it. Win or lose, this is the last day we'll ever play in here, which seems very strange.
I know that losing a player like KD can't be quantified, but how have you prepared for this game in terms of your rotations, and who are you looking to step up?
The way we've replaced Kevin this last month, 5 weeks, whatever it's been, has been with 4 or 5 guys playing smaller minutes and different roles. If we had a guy who could replace Kevin, he'd be making a lot more money, and he'd probably be playing for somebody else. So we just have to rely on our bench, and however the game goes, if somebody is playing well, we'll leave them out there. If we need a different look, we'll change it up, but we've got to be ready for anything and everything.
Thank you, Coach.
All right, thanks a lot, Kristen.
Guys.
All right, Kristen, Coach Kerr, thank you very much. We are going out to Jurassic Park live when we come back. Skeets from the Starters is with us to give us a sense of what's going on up in Canada as they prepare to close things down on the road. Meanwhile, when we come back here, our live coverage presented by YouTube TV. Everyone gets a piece of Mr. Kerr, including Zeke to my left. That's coming up. Don't move.